Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast. My name's Adam Cohn, I'm your host. Joining me is the returning Dan Welch. Dan, what's going on, buddy?
Not too much, Adam. Beautiful day today, and I'm happy to have some more Counter-Strike to watch tomorrow.
Yeah, we have the final day of Group B. And so, folks, that's what we're going to do first. We're going to talk about Group B. We're going to talk about the three matches that we have going on. And on top of that, then we're going to get into a brand new segment we're going to do here on the podcast. We're going to review the winning lineup in the big DraftKings GPP. For this past slate was happened to be the $10,000 tournament. $10,000 to first place. And we're going to review that lineup. I'm going to review that with you all based on the things we said on yesterday's podcast. And I'm going to go through my thought process. And we'll do the same thing for tomorrow's episode. Dan and I will break down what we said on here. We'll break down our process versus the winning lineup when we get a chance to get through this one, and so on and so forth. Hopefully that made sense to you all. It'd be a lot better when you see and hear it. Dan, you ready to break down the final day of Group B?
I am.
Let's do it. Group B, we have a three-way tie. Three teams at 3-1. G2 sits up top right now at plus 27 at 3-1. ENCE in number 2 with plus 3. They're also sitting at 3-1 with 9 points. Ninjas in Pajamas also with 9 points at 3-1. We got a three-way tie here, Dan, and I did not think this would be the three teams that would be here. G2, I wasn't even sure would be here.
No, I think we had Vitality and Mouse Sports, but I actually did have Ninjas in Pajamas. Just saying.
Yeah, I think this is very interesting to say the least.
Yeah,
I think this is really, really interesting. I think G2 are pretty much all but assured to move through, but there's nothing concrete. So we have to figure out where we go from here. With that being said, let's break down very quickly. We'll break it down on DraftKings, the actual matchups for pricing. G2 versus Mouse Sports. G2 have motivation for this match. Mouse Sports have none in terms of advancing, but they have something to prove. They obviously don't want to be going out 0-5. But G2 have looked, I gotta say, they haven't looked the greatest. They haven't looked terrible either.
No. No. Hunter's kind of come out of nowhere. Well, maybe not nowhere, but maybe with Nico taking a little bit of the opping role on, that he's allowed to be up front, or maybe set up in good positions. Yeah, they're very good.
And breaking news, the Patriots just signed another water boy. No, I'm kidding. Feels like the Patriots have been signing up everybody. What feels like every half hour. They just love spending money in free agency. Anyway, this is a Counter-Strike podcast. Only kidding. Hopefully you NFL fans out there got a kick out of that. All right, second on here is FaZe Clan versus ENCE. FaZe Clan sitting at 1-3. Still something to prove. This team, as we saw today, this team has got so much potential when they're clicking. Brokey looks fantastic from a gameplay standpoint. You take a look at what Brokey's been doing, right? This is a young kid that we knew was going to take a while to come into it. He's been touted as one of the next great oppers. The dude has been on fire this tournament. He's been so good. And they're going up against ENCE, I can't believe we're seeing this out of this team ENCE with a bunch of scraps and alu. And again, that's no offense to everyone that's signed there. It's just this has been a mishmash of talent that has come together and has produced really good games. If we just go through, they beat Mouse Sports 2-1, lost to NIP 2-1. They beat G2 2-1, and they swept Vitality today, which I did call in yesterday's podcast. I said they'd upset. I thought it'd go 3 maps, but I did not think they'd be an outright sweep. FaZe Clan versus ENCE. Ramifications again for ENCE, because ENCE are obviously want to keep a playoff. They want to fight for a playoff spot. FaZe can't. But with that being said, FaZe still a formidable team.
Yeah, I think. I definitely think they'll try to upset them no matter what the outcome is. And Ents doesn't actually score that well for DFS purposes, so I think it's almost a fade, but or maybe a one-off, one-off Alu or a one-off Sphinx or a one-off Brokey. But I would not be stacking this game.
Yep, and we'll get to the DFS side of things in a little bit. Last matchup. Probably one of the most interesting matchups of the three is Team Vitality versus the Ninjas in Pajamas. Team Vitality looked terrible.
The bees, they didn't sting very hard today.
I apologize, Team Vitality. Like, I'm a fan, but your gameplay looks terrible. It's like ever since they were told they couldn't have an active 6-man roster, they've been bad. Like, this is like, I don't know if they got complacent with the 6-man roster. I don't know if roles changed with the 6-man roster. Zywoo's still doing Zywoo-like things, but a lot of the rest of this team just look bad.
Yeah, I mean, Shocks did not have a very shocking performance today. It was pretty. I was pretty bummed about that. So
he's here all week, folks. I'm kidding. That was such a. I don't even know how to respond to that joke.
Let me remind you though that I it's way past my bedtime right now, so I'm like my brain's not firing on full. On all cylinders.
We're gonna get you fired up. Let's go. Here we go. Wake up. Get a cup of coffee. Here we go. All right. So those are the matchups, the implications. Vitality's still in it. Nip obviously still in it. Gonna be a very interesting game to watch. With that being said, let's get over to our brand new segment where we recap the winning lineup. I have no problem showing you all this. So this is where I ended up going for my lineup for this past tournament. I said I really liked Hunter. I put him in the captain spot. And he scored 132.75 DK points. He was 10.8 in the captain spot. I think he was like mid to low 7s. Or somewhere in the 7,000 range. He smashed. I went Zywoo. Which is... I thought he'd do a lot better against Ents than he did. I mean, 40 and 31 is nothing to sneeze at. But when your team gets swept... I mean, that's still it's not good for 9,800. But again, I 80.7% owned. 80 other percent of people agree with me. Zite was on the slate. You play him. Rops.
Yep.
I almost ended up one-offing Rops on the slate, and let me tell you why. Had I gone off Zywoo, I was debating: do I do a Zywoo plus 2 Ents? And then the more I realized that the more I really wanted to have Amanek in my lineup. So I ended up on a 3-man stack of G2. Captain Hunter, Nico, and Amanek. I called Amanek as my bold play, saying he'd have a good game. He was 38, 7, and 31. He had a 4K. They swept. 36 rounds not played bonus. 61.5 DK points with 4,800. He smashed. Now Amanek's probably not going to do it on every slate. But it was a gut feeling I had. I can tell you right now, I don't have the same feeling that I get with him today against, who are they playing? I know we just talked about it. Who are they playing? They're playing Mouse. Yeah, no. I'm not playing that against Mouse. So, here's my thought process on Rops. I knew I wanted to get him in my lineup. I was not compromising on that at all. Right? I was not going to compromise on that. I did not want to include BMAS in my lineup. I couldn't get anywhere else in the lineup that I liked. The only other mouse sports player, because I wanted to get a 2-man mouse deck, it was BMAS or Dexter. And I'm like, BMAS against Nip, BMAS could do some damage. 37 and 49, ended up at 23 DK points. That crushed my lineup. Had I gone to Cold Zera, I would have done a lot better. But again, that would have looked really weird. A 3-man stack of G2, and then run it back with one on the other team with Cold Zera just due to price. It didn't look like good lineup construction. So that's kind of my thought process. It was Zywoo. Like I said, I wanted to get him in there. Rops, I wanted to get in. Rops at 101.5 DK points. absolutely crushed. He had a 78, 13, and 51 scoreline. He looked insane in the game, for what it's worth. He's playing fantastic Counter-Strike right now. All right, so now let's go all the way up here, and let's review the winning lineup. The winning lineup was Lake Bum 23.
Congrats,
Solo.
Lake Bum.
Yeah, congrats, Lake Bum, for sure. Solo ship of the 10,000. Captain Hunter. Rops. Nico. So, again, kind of still on the same thought process I was looking at. Take a look at what he did. He did play 2 ends. He didn't play Zyro. He had a 6% on Alu and a 10.5% on Spinks. I said I liked Spinks, and if I was playing anyone, it would be him. Alu just happened to go off. 42, 4, and 28. He was playing out of his mind. And while Zyro still did good, he just owned the rest of Team Vitality. He was just on another level. And he had the money to be able to go into Fort Acor. So, 488.25 DK points. You love to see it. Congrats, Lake Bum 23 on the $10,000 solo ship. Dan, what do you think about this winning lineup? And would you have gone down this road for a GPP? And then if you want, you can break down my lineup and anything that you like or don't like there.
I mean, if I were to build, let's say, 20 lineups, I bet this would have been one of them. I mean, this isn't that complicated. It's,
Let's just do the head-to-head
it's
real
just
quick.
banking on.
Go ahead. Mine's on the left. Winning lineups on the right.
I mean, it's basically banking on. It all relies on ends sweeping. Really, I mean, that had to be the outcome for this because if it goes 3 maps, I don't think Zywoo only scores 57 points. You know.
No.
Um,
he was getting going on Dust too.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. It's 3 mappers for him seem to be the best as far as DFS is concerned. Because it's just the longer he plays, the better he gets. So yeah, I mean, it's not that anybody could have done this. I'm surprised it wasn't duplicated either.
I mean, so here's the thing: Alo at 6%. He was playing terrible.
6?
Yeah, he was 6%.
Jesus.
He was playing terrible. His gameplay looked terrible. So it was a pure leverage spot, and you had to have the Zywoo fade to get this lineup.
Unreal. Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Now again, we look back in retrospect and go, yeah, we could have had that lineup. But then you may have questioned it. Like, do I want to go Alu? Do I want to try getting up to D-Ha? Does that mean I get off maybe an A-Core and go down to a B-Mass or a Dexter? And we could have came across this on a 20 max. You had to have the Ents upset. And I picked Ents, but I ended up not playing any Ents and just Zywoo, which again was my thought process. I went G2 against FaZe. Okay, they got the sweep. Amanek paid off. I was really happy going through that. Rops with 101 points. I was really happy about that. BMAS didn't show up. Okay, I'm thinking to myself, okay, Zywoo could still have a ceiling of 100 plus DK. It didn't happen. So it's definitely interesting. We're gonna get back at it again today. With our 3-game slate. Go ahead.
Want to say one more thing too is if Zywoo's probably going to be even less owned tomorrow, so you don't need a whole lot of if you're doing 20, you don't need very many to fade Zywoo and be over the field, which is probably what this guy did.
I like it.
Sorry, I'm so tired right now.
Listen, he goes with his up and he goes, wee click, wee click, wee click. I mean, look, the dude looks like he's going wee. I mean, he's just
popping heads.
Pretty much, he's just like, oh, you over there, bye. Oh, look, you check over there, bye.
Yeah.
I mean, Zywoo is just that good. But anyway, I finish your thought, but I kind of understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, just that it doesn't take much to get to that lineup, that winning lineup, if Zywoo has a bad match. And it's even harder if he does have a good match, because then you have to have that, like Alu. I mean, 6% is crazy. He's a really good Counter-Strike player. So
he is. And again, he showed why he is a top 10 opper. He just he doesn't have a supporting cast around him.
Yeah. Yep. Spinks. I mean, Spinks is really good. I know that you haven't probably seen it yet, but I think tomorrow, or today, depending on how we're looking at it, is will be Spinks's
Well, let's talk.
day in the
Let's
sun.
let's talk about it. We start off on this slate with Mouse Sports versus G2. Ah, Nico 9,200. Jax hilariously priced at 8,600. Rops, after the performance he had, got a massive decrease. He's only 8,200. But it's G2, so I can understand the decrease. Talk to me about Mouse Sports.
Yeah, there's clearly some issues with Dexter being the IGL, I guess. Rops, it almost feels like he's probably got to he feels like he has to carry the whole match, which is why he's getting such high scores. But that's a really volatile or volatile um, strategy for DFS, anyways. So yeah, I don't know. It's troubling, and I'm gonna have a hard time playing anyone other than Rops from Mousesports.
Okay, so you wouldn't go with like a Frozen? You wouldn't go with like an A-Core?
I don't think so. Yeah,
All right.
G2's looking too good.
I'm definitely playing Rops. I'm going to be right back on the bandwagon. Going to get me some Frozen exposure. Going to get me some A-Core exposure. I don't mind some B-Mass exposure. Um, he's a good player. He could
Hmm.
probably take advantage of some of these other players. On G2, for example, like your Nexus, your Omninex, your Jaxes. Dexter, I have no idea what to make of him. I just don't know. I would like to think he's better than this, but again, he's been on this team for what, couple months? Like there's a learning curve. Mouse Sports had Carrigan for a couple of years. There's a learning curve. Talk to me about G2 and talk to me about what you're doing with this team and how we're playing all the Hunter today.
Yeah, I mean Hunter's practically a lock at that price. And they're probably going to get Mirage, which he seems to be a kind of a stud on. And I mean, I'm not saying fade Nico at that price, but it might be a little bit high for what his recent output has been, especially with the Zaiwu on the slate.
So I talked about this on yesterday's pod when it comes to Hunter. All right, when it comes to Hunter, we take a look at his game log. Just throughout this tournament, I'm only taking this for the Pro League, so the last 4 games.
Yep.
54, 14, and 43 versus Nip. 45, 14, 30 versus Vitality. 52, 15, and 46 versus Ents. 56, 11, and 35 versus FaZe. Ever since
Mm-hmm.
Nico has come to this team, he's been outstanding. It's like he doesn't have to lift up the entire team. Hunter can go around and do whatever he wants. Let's take a look at IM Katowice versus Big. 48, 5, and 30 for 75 DK points versus EG. 44, 4, and 39 for 57 DK points. He had 7,600. Gambit, they lost 0 to 2. 32, 10, and 40 for 38 DK points. Understandable. Gambit went just nuts on everybody.
Yep.
The Blast event, I'm not going to spend in detail, but like, he started doing really well towards the end of last. Like, here's EG, 46, 8, 37, 71 DK points. He's been looking really good. He's been playing excellent Counter-Strike. I'll absolutely go back to the well on Captain Hunter on this slate.
Yeah. Yeah, and if anybody doesn't know that Nico and Hunter are cousins, and I think they played Counter Strike like together as kids as they were growing up. So there's that narrative for you too.
Yeah, there's definitely familiarity. Look, for G2, I'm going to make this real simple for everybody. I love Hunter on this slate. Play Nico. Fade everyone else. This is too close of a matchup. Jax is hilariously overpriced at 8,600. Nexa, for being the IGL that he is, we don't think of him as a high fragging IGL. And Omninex, I'll take my victory when he was 4,800. I'll take my 61.5 DK points from him. I don't like him against Mouse Sports at all. If you're playing a 20 max, I don't mind a little bit of exposure to Omninex and some large field GPPs in those 20 maxes and above. I don't mind that at all, but for me, it's Hunter's a core play for me on the slate. Or one of my core plays. He's definitely someone I want a lot of exposure to if I don't decide to make him my core play on the slate. And Nico also I want to stack him with, but I'm not getting cute with G2. G2, I think, playing for first place. So,
Yeah, yep.
anything else in
Which
this
is
game,
huge.
or shall we move on?
No, I kind of like where you landed. Just Hunter, Nico, and Rops. That's pretty much it.
I like it. Don't take my lineups. The other thing I want to point out to everyone before we get on to FaZe Clan versus Ents is this. All the games are at 2 o'clock Eastern. This is just like Group A.
Yep.
They're all at the same time. Gonna make for some great Counter-Strike, but they're all
Yep.
at the same time. So just plan accordingly. You have.
I mean, that was the other day when they did that. It was I had a great time.
Yep. You have plenty of time
So,
to get lineups in. I'm just gonna
yeah.
say that. Don't overstress. Don't overcomplicate. Don't question yourself. So all of them are at 2 o'clock. It's gonna be some great Counter-Strike. Second game on this 3-game slate: FaZe Clan versus Ents. Twist. It's like deja vu. $9,000 again on DraftKings. Talk to me about FaZe Clan.
I mean, I think I started down this path earlier, and I'm going to stick with it. That this is a perfect upset spot for FaZe because they don't have, they don't need to worry about winning basically, and Ents probably will be a little bit uptight about winning. So this is a good spot for FaZe, and I would say anybody's in play on FaZe.
I like that. All right, so let's go through real quick. My favorite play on FaZe is still Brokey. I really liked, kind of like yesterday, the matchup and everything else. I wasn't a giant fan of Twist. Let's just take a look at his stats real quick. And Dan, I did do this yesterday. I tried going through some of the stats. I want to get to more of the people, just get them some recent stats, some recent form, and we're going to keep tweaking this, making this podcast better for the people.
Okay.
But so, like, check this out. Team Vitality, right? 55, 15, and 49. You love to see that stat line. 67 DK points. You love to see that. 8,600, yep. I don't care. You love to see that. Mouse Sports, 30, 11, and 35. You don't like that.
No, there goes your lineup.
Okay. Sorry. I'm going to get back to football here for a second. Remember how I joked during this podcast the Patriots signed another water boy? No,
Yeah.
they just signed Kyle Van Noy.
Oh.
So
yeah, they got Hunter Henry too, right?
I feel like is this going to be the off season? The Patriots are just going to sign a free agent like almost every day. Listen, I'm a Patriots fan. I'm not complaining, but we need a quarterback. Go get me Deshaun Watson. Anyway, back to Counter-Strike. Remember we were talking about it? We were actually talking about the slate here on the podcast, FaZe versus Mouse Sports. We said that was going to be a closely contested game. And, yep. Twist at $9,000, 49 points. That wasn't paying off anything. So, versus Nip, okay, 44, 5, 37. You like that he was plus 7, 56 points. I will say, while you can't bank on bonuses, he's had at least one 4K in every game in this tournament. Or in this group. That's interesting.
Yeah, he's got some aim.
His 4K against G2 was also like filthy. Like it was on Inferno. It was just filthy. Speaking of against G2, 44, 9, 33, plus 11. With a couple bonuses, you had a 1v2 clutch. That was the part of the 4K I mentioned, I believe. And 2 4Ks for 68 DK points at 9,000. Dan, we need to make a decision again on Twist. He's 9,000 again versus Ents. In theory, he should crush in this spot. Ents have been giving teams fits. What are you doing with Twist on this slate? Because Twist could be a key component to someone winning the $10,000 on this slate.
I mean, I would definitely have some exposure. I don't know that I'll play him in single entry, but yeah, I mean, he's got that bonus potential like you're showing, and I really do think. I mean, look at what happened with Mouse Sports. I mean, Rops was plus 30 or something like that, and they lost. And then Frozen was plus 15, so the same thing could happen. Because clearly, Ents gives up some kills.
Yeah,
and they feed kills.
All right, so I'm gonna say this as I gather my words. I think Twist can break this slate.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think Twist has the possibility of being on the winning lineup. Now, with that being said, Brokey is still my favorite play from this team.
Okay.
However, Twist is right behind Brokey, and I'm not getting cute. Like, if I'm playing Brokey, I want to stack him with Twists. And this is a GPP play. And like you and I are GPP players, like we're not really cash players.
Right.
Brokey, I'd probably play in cash. Just because I feel like
Yep.
with the way he's been playing, and let's go over here and get into the stats. Brokey, 60 DK points, 85, 51, 60.
Yep. That's a good floor.
I think he's a great cash play. Brokey be in the opera for phase. Man, 7,800 against Ents. With the way he's looked and been playing, sign me up. This is why he's one of my favorite players on this slate. And he's my favorite play from phase. His performance has been outstanding. His salary at 7,800 against this team, sweet spot to make us some money.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I would agree.
if if I kind of want to go Captain Brokey on this slate, to be honest, over Hunter.
Hmm.
I mean, I think he's that good. Now, let's talk about the rest of phase real quick. Cold Zera had a day.
Oh boy. I
I
thought we're
mean,
gonna start calling him
he
the old Zara.
listen. Yeah, okay. Maybe
He
he had
was the greatest player in the world. Not anymore though. You know.
a. I mean, I said he had a good day. I must only been watching one map that he went completely nuts on. He is 37, 6, and 38 for 49 DK points at 5,600. It's
I'd
not.
take it.
It's not great. It's not terrible. Didn't win you a GPP. But
No.
like, let's also look what he's done in this tournament against teams like Vitality and Mouse Sports. 55, 7, and 43 plus 12 with a couple clutches and a 4K for 63 points at 4,400 against Team Vitality. Mouse Sports, 43, 7, and 32 for plus 11. I'm sorry, plus 9. I can do math. With a 4K and 68 points. He has the potential. He's 6,200 against Ents. While Ents are winning, they're not exactly winning in dominating fashion. Cold
Yep.
Zera could pay off this price tag at 6,200.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
I agree.
are you playing Rain at all?
I think Rain is a really good Counter Strike player. He just is their entry fragger, so
Mm-hmm.
he gets put in some tight spots where he he's going to get hammered. And I mean, if they do play Train, I'm sure they will because that's where Ends always picks.
Ents
I think
loves
that
Train.
gives I think that gives Rain some upside.
Oh wait a minute. Did you say Train? I'm just that. I'm going back to
T
that
Rain,
game where I'm just going back to that 40 plus fragging game from Twist. It's just coming back to me. Um,
yeah, not too long ago.
not too long ago at all. All right, so I don't mind Rain for large field GPPs. He has the upside. It's Ents.
Hmm?
He has the upside 100%. If you're MMEing, definitely get some Rain exposure in your face stacks. I'm not playing Kerrigan. I
No,
need to see
I'm
more
sorry.
out of
Yeah,
him
I
first.
said everyone was. I said everyone was in play, but I would not play Kerrigan either.
Yep. All right.
Sorry, just to
Let's
clear that up.
let's switch it over to the end side of things, and let's start off with the guy who broke the slate yesterday. Well, one of the guys that broke the slate in Alu. Are you playing any Alu on this slate?
Sure.
Okay. Only MME, or would you take a chance on him in a single entry?
I would definitely take a chance. I mean, I would go. I could see myself going, having twists and maybe cold Zera, and then run it back with Alu, just because that train, the CT side optic on train, it's the operas usually go pretty bonkers.
Love Train. Fun
Yeah.
map. You have to know your callouts, your smokes, and it's an opera's paradise.
Yep.
All right. So with that being said, so Alu's in play for you. He's in play for me only for MMA. I'm not playing him in a single entry. If you want to play anyone from Ensign in a single entry for me, it's Spinks first, Deha second. Actually, no, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Spinks first in a single entry. I'd go Alu second, Diha third. I'm too confident in Face Clan to play anyone from outside of Spinks.
Yeah. I mean, Spinks goes off on train too. So
Let me take a look at Snappy
snappy.
because he's been actually pretty decent in this tournament. 43,
Yeah.
17, 49, 60 DK points at 5,400 with a negative stat line. Those assists helping Snappy out. Snappy, I believe, is the in-game leader for this team. 43,
Yes.
15, 42 against Nip. 54 DK points. Oh, I'm sorry, that was a snow thing against Endpoint. Alright, so the second game was G2, 43, 15, and 45. 48 for 4,400. I'll take 48 points at 4,400 if it jams me in a stud that goes off. He did do really well against Vitality today. 43, 9, and 37 for 61 DK points. He looked impressive. I would not mind getting exposure to Snappy and N-Stacks for sure. I'm just not playing Dodo either. So,
Yeah. No.
even though Dodo did well today, 61 DK points, no. I'm not playing Dodo. Ready to talk about the final game on the slate?
Yes, sir.
Team Vitality versus the Ninjas in Pajamas. I'm still waiting for them to be wearing pajamas on these streams. Why y'all not wearing pajamas? You're the Ninjas in Pajamas. Let's go. Get the ninja hoodies. Get your pajamas. Let's go. Come on, team. Anyway,
It's pretty simple, isn't it?
pretty much. Anyway, in all seriousness, give me Nip for the win against Team Vitality.
Yeah, definitely.
But talk to me about Team Vitality. Let's start off with, obviously, again, Zaiwu on the slate. You play Zaiwu.
Yep.
Now, as we saw in
I didn't
the
say
winning
that.
lineup, and the winning lineup didn't have Zaiwu. You want to get some leverage and not play him? You make sure you're playing Nip. If you want to fully fade him, which we saw worked, it happened to work out in that instance, that you happen to have the right combination of players. Let's take a look. Let's go back to the contest here. So this Jax was in the second place lineup, but so wasn't Dodo at 3.4%, and again, it's 6% Alu. I'm looking to see if there
I bet
was
that guy was pissed.
fifth. Okay. One of the players tied for fifth had Zaiwu.
Half a point away. Oh my god, that must have stung.
But they also had Captain Hampus as a one-off. That's very different.
No shit.
But again, they win a route, which is what I kind of talked about to begin with. 3-1-1-1. Because I wanted a Zaiwu one-off, and I wanted a Rops one-off. Okay, Zaiwu was still viable. He just didn't get you the extra 11 points you needed to win the GPP. That's fine. I'd absolutely go back to Zaiwu on this slate as a one-off. And quite frankly, I don't want to play anyone else of Team Vitality right now. They look bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't good. Wasn't good today.
Team Vitality is very simple for me. Zaiwu, and if for single entries, that's it. Or one lineup. If you're MMEing, I'd stack Zaiwu with Shux, I'd stack him with Apex, and I'd stack him with Masuda and RPK. Mix up your stacks. I just don't have a good feeling about anybody. Shux has been the second most consistent. Apex looked decent today. Masuda looked decent on Dust 2. RPK looked like he was doing good for a time. So I would just say, and if you really want to get crazy and fade Zaiwu when you want to go with a Shux and an Apex, or a Shux Masuda, or an I wouldn't double stack anyone in this team that doesn't have Zaiwu or Shux. They're the two strengths of Team Vitality. Do you agree with that, or would you try something else?
Oh yeah, 100% agree. I mean, the only way that I would get different is put Shocks in the captain, and have Zaiwu as the flex. That does work sometimes because Shocks can score higher than Zaiwu.
Yep.
But other than
Actually,
that, I
I
mean,
think
RPK at 5200 is good. But
I think a Captain Shocks on this slate is actually pretty interesting.
hmm.
For what it's worth, I'm not gonna make it as a bold prediction, but if you want a far out there good, like an interesting GPP strat, Captain Shocks with the Zywoo, I don't mind it at all. All right, so we've talked enough about team vitality. We know who to play. Mix up your stacks with primarily Zywoo. If you want to get
Yeah.
different and play Shocks and mix it up with that, or play a Captain Shocks with the Zywoo or Captain Shocks with someone else, mix it up, get different. Let's talk about the Ninjas in Pajamas. Nip. Highest price player on this slate for them is Plopski at 7,600. At least he is in 8,000 or 9,000 the slate. Now let's take a look at Plopski stats real quick, because I don't know what he's been doing. Okay. G2, 35, 13, 43 for 41 DK points. Versus Ents, 49, 14, and 37. He was plus 12 with the 4K and had 70 DK points at 9,400. FaZe, 45, 12, and 37. Okay. 69 DK points at 8,200. Against Mouse Sports today, he was 86, 49, 12, and 55 at 38 points. You taking a chance on Plopski on this slate?
Probably not.
That's kind of where I'm leading.
Yeah.
Just
because knock and res are my two go-tos.
I 100% agree with you. And Hampus is my third favorite. Matter of fact, those are the three from this team I would only play. If you want to play Plopskins and MMEs, I don't mind it. I actually really think Hampus has a high ceiling against Vitality too. He is
I do too, actually.
He's the IGL for Nip, and Apex the IGL for Vitality. I mean, Hampus isn't a super high fragging IGL. He's not a Blame F. He's not a Cadian. This dude can frag.
He's very good.
Yep, and Knock at 4,800 is hilariously underpriced, but he's getting the Zywoo discount. I don't mind a little bit of Knock. I actually think Hampus is my second favorite play from this team on the slate. Rez being my first favorite at 7,000. He's been playing too good for this price tag. So if we take a look, I'm just going to run through it. 88 DK points, 69, 57, 50. He's been sub 8,000. He's 7,000 on this slate. He's been the cheapest he's been. I think he does good on this slate. I like Rez first, then Hampus, then Knock, then Plopski. I'm not playing ZTR. Any final thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it could go either way. I mean,
for
as
sure.
good as Nip has been playing, it's gonna be hard to make up my mind for a single entry for sure. But
well, you have. We're recording this podcast on March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. It's 9:48 here on the East Coast. You have 16 hours to make up your mind. 16 hours, 10 minutes, and 58 seconds.
Good point.
You have time to figure out your single entry strategy. With that being said, give me a core, value, and GPP play on this slate.
Core, I mean, I gotta go with Zywoo. GPP, I'm gonna go with Twists.
I like it.
And
I like
value,
it a lot.
Value. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Knock. Knock is my value play.
4,800. I like it for sure. Core play for me on this slate, I'm going Brokey. You want a second one? I'm going Hunter. I'm going to go value play on this slate. Hunter at 7,400 is still a value.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Knock at 4,800, but to be different, Snappy at 5,400, Hampus at 6,000. GPP play on the slate. Rops, 8,200. He's been playing outstanding. You play Rops on this slate. Twists, my second GPP play. Favorite team to stack? And give me a bold prediction.
Favorite team? I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with A's. And bold prediction will be that Captain Rain wins the big tournament.
That's bold, sir. I also my favorite team to stack is FaZe. Uh, I mean that's kind of a consensus in the two of us. If I had to pick a team I like to stack besides FaZe, I'm picking G2, and it's the two-man stack of Hunter and Nico in that order. And I'd be Captain Hunter and Nico. The only reason I'm saying that, G2 are playing to try to lock up that one spot. This is a team that, in my opinion, again, no disrespect to them, need to get to the play-ins. Need to try to get all the way to the semis. My opinion. I'm also going to say this. I don't care who makes it out of Group B. They're not beating Heroic in the play-ins. That's my own prediction. But let's get into my bold prediction. You're going to need a 2 to 3 man FaZe clan stack with Captain Brokey or Captain Twists to take down this $10,000 tournament, or the $10,000 the first tournament.
That is bold, Adam. That is very bold.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. You know what? It's not bold enough. I'll give you a second bold prediction. I'm going to go on the flip side of this game. Captain Alu wins someone the $10,000 on the slate, and stacking him with Spinks and or Snappy. So
I like it.
Long story short, I think FaZe Ents is the key to this game. Is if Ents go ahead and 2-0 FaZe, and Ents have good stat lines, you may need them on this slate to win. With that being said, hit that like button, leave a comment down below, hit the subscribe button so you know every time one of our podcast episodes drop. Dan, any last things on this slate before we head out of here?
I am so tired and going straight to bed.
There you go. All right, he's Dan, I'm Adam. You can follow Dan on Twitter at Wandelch, WANDELCH. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamWX21. We have a couple of fun announcements that are coming up in the coming weeks. Tease. We'll let you know what those are soon enough. For Dan, I'm Adam. Good luck on this slate. I hope if one of us don't win the 10,000, one of you all win the 10,000. I feel like I'm taking that line from the DFS Edge. It's all good. I want someone listening to this podcast winning that $10,000. Hopefully it's me. I also listen to the podcast. I also record the podcast. This is a long-winded way of saying have a good night. Latest peoples!
Amen.